Good morning. Good morning. It's the Pastor Lord Morning Show. We up. We're glad to see you this morning. Just want you guys to come on in. Let me know that you are up by saying we up. It's Friday. I hope everybody is having a great day. If not, we got a word for you today. Why me? Why me? Why am I dealing with what I'm dealing with right now? It's sunshine on the outside. Everybody seems like they're having fun. Everybody's doing their thing. Everybody's finding new love and new finances. Why does it feel like I'm going through hell? So let's give it up. Let's give it up. Let's give it up. We up this morning. It's the Pastor Lord Morning Show. Good morning. Here it is. It says Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 7. He says, "You deceived me, Lord, and I was deceived. You overpowered me and prevailed. I am ridiculed all day long. Everyone mocks me. Whenever I speak, I cry out, proclaiming violence and destruction. So the word of the Lord has brought an insult and reproach all day long. But if I say I would not mention his name or speak anyone anymore his name, his word is like his word in my heart is like a fire that's shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. I indeed cannot." What happens when you feel like God himself has deceived you? What happens when you feel like you can't make it any longer, you can't go any further? When it feels like if one more thing happens in my life, I'm gonna snap, I'm gonna go crazy. What happens when you get to that point? What's your response when you look around and you see everybody's doing well, everybody is having fun, everybody buying a new house, everybody got a new love, but yet I'm in the same position when I've been working at it, but yet feels like nothing's happening. I'm not seeing a difference being made in my life. What happens then? Do you decide that you want to quit or do you continue to go forward? That's the question. And I want to encourage you today because sometimes when you have a close relationship with God, he has a way of challenging you with things that happen in your life. You can't figure out why, but a lot of times these things they expose where we're weak. They expose where we're weak. If you have an issue that keeps coming up, maybe it's because you have not quite found out how to deal with that issue. And every time that issue comes up, you always get depressed. You always seem despondent. But maybe God is trying to get you to the point where you're able to deal with those things a little better. And so there's nothing that God wants to withhold from us that is good. But sometimes what's good for us is for us to be able to go through. You know, a lot of times you're looking around and you're trying to figure out why things aren't happening for you. Why this? Well, it's something that happens to a person when they get fed up, and maybe because you keep going back to the same habits, maybe you're not fed up enough yet. You keep going back to the same stuff you've been doing. You go through the situation, you come out, and you would think you would have learned. But maybe this situation you're dealing with right now is God trying to show you something that He has not quite got through your head yet. Or maybe you're going through something where you know it's just a freak accident. You know that it's nothing that God is punishing you with, but yet you need to be able to have some strength to be able to go forward. Well, I came to tell you that although things may look rough, although things may have come up in your life and it feels like the anxiety and the pain and all that stress that's coming upon you, God has not forgotten about you. He's not forgotten about you. He hasn't left you, and he still knows what he's trying to accomplish in your life. And so, yes, tragedies come. Yes, things come in our life that upset us, things come in our life that hurt us. But it's not time for you to give up. It's not time for you to quit. It's not time for you to throw in the towel. And the amazing thing is that you'll have people around you who don't quite know exactly what you're dealing with, who don't know quite exactly what you're going through. But just truth be told, God knows exactly what you're dealing with. And that's what Jeremiah was in that text. He had been to a point where he was speaking what God was having him to speak, doing what God had him to do. But yet, in the middle of that, he was put through some pain. And a lot of times we can't figure out, how in the world am I going through this when I'm doing what God has called me to do, right? But God shares with him in chapter 29 that how are you going to run with horses when the footmen are bothering you? In other words, if you can't run with these average people without getting frustrated, without complaining, without getting upset, how in the world are you going to ever run with horses? And God is trying to get us to the point where we're able to run with horses. You may not understand it. You may say, how in the world is this situation in God's plan? But all things work together for those that love him and are called according to his purpose. I've looked at things happen to people, and I'm trying to figure out, how in the world could something like that happen to somebody like that? But yet, when you go 6 months, 7 months down the road, you realize that God was using it for his purpose and his plan. You may have situations right now where, everybody's celebrating this Friday, but you yourself, you can't celebrate because you're so despondent, so worried, questioning, trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe you being put out of your apartment or your house. Maybe you're in a relationship that's ending. God has not forgotten about you, and he's going to use this situation to empower you. And so I want you guys to be encouraged. Don't give up right now. Don't give up right now. And the amazing thing is, God sometimes, when he withdraws himself in a way, and I'm using that, y'all theologians don't come after me, but there's certain times where his presence is not as pervasive in your life, not as present. His presence is not as present as it used to be. That's the time for you to really, really pray, and you to really seek him and try to figure out, God, what are you trying to show me? What are you trying to tell me? But don't get upset during the process. Don't pray that the process go away. Don't pray that the situation go away. Pray that you get better, that you get stronger, that you get wiser, that you're able to deal with anything that comes your way. Because if God pulls you out, what's going to happen? You're never going to learn. You're never going to learn. And the amazing thing about this whole text that we're dealing with this morning is that he said the fire won't go out. Verse 9, he said, but when I say I won't mention his word or speak his name anymore, it's like fire to shut up in my bones. In other words, I can't stop loving God. I can't stop giving him glory. I can't stop doing what he's asking me to do. Some people ask me, well, what are you going to do next? And, that may not be working, or that, but let me tell you something. God has placed something in my heart that it won't go out. I can't put it out. Even if things may not be going my direction, I can't let it go out. And so I just wanted to share with y'all that this morning. And this morning, I want you guys to decide, because Jeremiah here, he was the what they call the complaining and the weeping prophet. He always had a complaint. But I want to let you know, you need to decide today that I'm not going to complain. I'm deciding today that I'm going to have a good day in spite of my circumstances. I'm going to surprise people with my level of joy in the midst of the situation, because people are looking at you and they expect you, rightfully so, to be sad, to be despondent, to be worried. But what if you step out of the house today and understand that although it may look like I'm down, God has got me on his shoulders. The Ark of the Covenant, and I'm closing with this, y'all, and we're going to keep it going. The Ark of the Covenant was only placed on those shoulders of people who can handle it. Those people who can handle it. The Ark couldn't be placed on just anybody's shoulders. It was the very presence of God, and then it can only be placed on those person's shoulders who are able to handle it. And sometimes with being placed on your shoulders, you may feel like you can't handle it, but God is saying you can handle it. And in the midst of it, his presence is right there. You may not be able to feel him, but his presence is right there. And so I want to encourage you guys, stay up. We up. Yeah, I know why we say we up, because it's very likely that we could have been down, and we thank God for it. The situation could have been worse. The problem could have been worse, but thank God this morning that we're still alive. And I want everybody to be encouraged. Let's go forward. Let's pick ourselves up. Remember, Pastor Lloyd Morning Show said we're up. We up. We up. Good morning.